see on your screen. Welcome to another session. Welcome to another session. So, first things we are going to be starting with is introduction. So, please drop where you are joining us from and your name. Thank you very much. So, your name and where you are joining us from. Let's just do that briefly for 2 minutes, and then we'll kick off with the session. So, I need where you are joining from and your name. Hi, Timilulua, for joining from Canada. Thank you very much for joining this session today. So each and every one of us, let's quickly go about that. So this is the intro. Hi, Kemi from UK. Hi, Chiwendu from UK also. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is going to be an interesting session, by the way. So if you are just joining, we are in the introductory aspect of things. So, okay. When you say, oh, okay, I would assume that's Cameroon. So that's Brian from Cameroon. Okay. So if you are just joining, we are doing the introduction, your name and where you're joining from in the chats. Thank you very much. Okay. So I think we can just get straight into the business of the day. So welcome once again. Welcome to another session. We are at Analytics, and I will pull up my screen now so each and every one of us can be on the same page. So, welcome to another session, like I mentioned previously. Now, what we are going to be trying to achieve today, this is a short course where we are going to try to scrape data from Amazon websites to build our first ETL pipeline. A moment, please. Yes. To build our first ETL pipeline from as a cloud engineer, that means we are going to be utilizing the cloud for our ETL pipeline today. So now, who is Analytics? Analytics, we are a leading edtech we are a leading edtech company focused on providing specialized training in technology skills and every other aspect that is going to break into tech. We have successfully helped over 3,000 people in the space of 5 years in the business. So we have been in the business for over 5 years now. So, and we have been successful enough to help over 3,000 people transition into tech from normal jobs. And we offer a wide range of courses if you are interested in that. But today we are going to be handling data engineering specifically. So we offer data analytics, business analysis, data engineering, like I mentioned, data science, financial analytics, HR analytics, agile project management, cybersecurity, product design, and DevOps engineering. Those are the courses we offer. So our team of leading instructors. So most of our instructors here are people that have worked in all walks of life in tech space. So we have people that have worked in Microsoft, Google, YouTube, and the likes. So you are in safe hands if you join us over here. Now, who am I? Like I mentioned, my name is Sadiq Milain. I am a data professional with over 2 years of experience. I wouldn't say 2 years, but I would say more of like active service, right? I've been in the space for a while. So 2 years of active service in data engineering, and I build robust data pipelines, scale data pipelines, and do a lot of stuff that would excite you today. You will see some of the magics that you do as a data engineer later on. So here with me is a fantastic project manager. Hi, Elizabeth. Would you like to introduce yourself? Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, Sadiq. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Nana. a product manager, as well as a senior agile project manager and a clarity coach here at Analytics. And I have half a decade of experience in both product and project management. All right, so I serve as a skilled leader as well as a coach for agile teams, consistently driving impactful results. As a clarity coach, I have been able to help, I consistently help aspiring professionals such as yourself just gain direction, confidence, and also the actionable steps that you need to transition into rewarding tech careers. I've trained over 1,000 professionals across 4 continents, and my experience also spans across multiple sectors like the healthcare sector, the financial sector, as well as the educational technology sector here, where I have applied my deep knowledge of agile methodologies to help deliver value and transformation. Thank you so much for that, Sadiq.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. So that is Elizabeth, and she's going to be speaking to us in a bit. But for now, you guys are stuck with me. So what are we going to be doing today? That's the agenda for today. We are going to be building a data pipeline using Azure. Then we are going to introduce you on how you can get started out. Join us here at Analytics. We are going to we help you plan yourself to position yourself. Yeah, we position you for jobs basically. So you are going to get the best of jobs because we have so many things, but this is going to be coming afterwards. And then we have a special offer for those that stay till the end. So let's try to stay to the end to know what this discount is all about. So now for what we are trying to build today, there's a case study, right? So we can't just come into the session blind, basically. So there's a case study, and then what are we trying to do? We are working for Retail Edge Analytics. So Retail Edge Analytics is a mid-sized retail data analytics company that helps e-commerce merchants monitor competitor prices. So basically, let's say the likes of Amazon or Walmart, we just hire them, or Alibaba and the likes. We just hire them for, oh, how much is Amazon selling their latest gaming PC now, and how much is Walmart selling theirs? And then Alibaba would be able to position himself in the business and say, okay, this is selling for 8,005. This is also selling for 8,000. How can I position myself in this and then sell for 8,490? So, or 8,400. So this is something that would help the business position themselves. So what is the problem statement? Before 2024, Retail Edge relied on manual data collection. So all their data were basically manual, were stored with manual processes, basically. And then we have data latency, update. The updates arrive only once or twice per week, which is not good enough for a company that is trying to keep up with competitors. And then limited coverage. Third-party provider didn't always include new products, high costs, and inconsistent data quality. So, and when you are paying for external data sets, so instead of you just going there to, I wouldn't say steal, but just take a quick peek at their prices and then compare to your organization's prices and then make strategic decisions, you would be paying for their data sets most of the time because most of these organizations do sell their data to other organizations. Now, what are we trying to do here? We are trying to have Azure integration, serverless scalability, also cost efficiency. That is one of the most important parts because it is in our problem statement that they spend a lot of money trying to get the data sets. And then now for the structure of our data, sorry, the structure of our pipeline today is more of scraping data from Alibaba websites, then process it. But the raw data is going to be stored initially. Then this raw data is going to be processed. Once it is processed, it is now saved in another storage and then transferred into our database once it has been structured perfectly. So security and compliance. So all these things are what we are trying to do. Now, the aim of this project is for us to design and deploy a cloud-native ETL pipeline. ETL stands for extract, transform, and load. Then we are going to extract products and the products pricing data from Alibaba. We are not going to be using Amazon. Amazon is going to give us issues if we try it. So let's just stick with Alibaba. That's the alternate of Amazon, basically. So now we are going to be transforming raw HTML into structured, validated JSON and packet data. So what is structured JSON? A JSON is more of like how like put this, it's more of like a set of data stored in key and value pairs. So you know when you say name and then you have your name, the name is the key and your initial name. So let's say name and then similar in Sadiq. That means the name is the key, similar in Sadiq is the value. If I want to get my name, I wouldn't call upon similar in Sadiq. I'll just say, oh, let's say the name of the dictionary is students, and then I'll just say the ID then dot name. So if there is an ID existing, let's say student 001, I'll just point at student 001 and then pick out the name. In this case, I'm going to be getting a name and the name that's going to be coming out is not the name, it's going to be similar inside it. So that's how JSON works basically. It works as more of like a dictionary. And now we are going to be loading this clean data into Azure SQL database, basically. Now, what are the data we are trying to get from Alibaba, basically? So the name of the products, the links to the products, the manufacturer of the products, the price of this product. So Alibaba, some of their products have two different prices. So this is why we have the minimum price and the maximum price. So in this case, this is telling us, oh, these people offer ranges to their prices. So we can be able to offer a middle range, and then people might fall for the trick and then patronize us. So now, what is the tech stack we're going to be working with today? As a data engineer, this has to be your friend, which is Python. Python has to be your friend basically as a data engineer. And then these other three listed here are basically Azure. But these are now tools within Azure that makes this possible. This is Azure Function. This is the data factory. And then this is the database. Now, this is the workflow. From Alibaba, we are going to be ingesting the data using Azure Functions into something called a blob storage. I'm going to be showing you guys all these things as time goes on. So now this is going to be ingested into a blob storage. Then after that, this same function is also going to clean this data to make it usable by our data factory. Then our data factory is now going to run a copy script whereby it will just help us convert the CSV, which is also a file type, into a formatted system, into a data frame that will be stored in our database for the likes of the analytics team and the likes. So, so sorry about that. So let's just get straight into what we are going to do. So introducing you guys to what we have for today. This is the script for the scraping. I know this might be a lot currently. This might look like a lot, right? It is a lot. I wouldn't say it would look like it is a lot. But joining us here at Analytics, you will see this and then you'll be like, oh, I know what this is. After, let's say, 3 months, yeah, you will look at this and be like, oh, I understand it perfectly. So this is what is going to be, this is the bot that is going to be going into Alibaba and then getting the data for us. This over here. This is what is getting the bot for us. This is the bot that is getting this data for us. And then after that, we are now going to have a list. So what is a list? A list is a data storage type, but it is an inefficient data storage type. In large organizations, we use list to store data temporarily. So data that you are going to save into a more secure format, that is how we deal with lists. So it is just going to hold the data temporarily and then offset it into a CSV file. So after that, you can now see this is a loop that is going to scrape this page for us per page. So if they have a total of 1,000 pages and you want to scrape 1,000 pages, that is possible. Then you put 1,000 here, and then it's going to scrape 1,000 pages for you. But for the sake of today, we are going to be doing just 2. So and then this is the whole function. This is getting the URL for each page, and then we are now getting the source. So for the page source, basically what is happening here is the use of 2 different libraries. There is something called a dynamic website, right? A dynamic website is a website that the values change from time to time. And when I say the values, this is the class ID. if you are familiar with HTML and CSS, you would understand that there's something called a class ID. Let me just quickly show you that. And then we'll just quickly go about that. So let's go to Alibaba. So for this, it's actually basic for what we are going to see. This is not what I want. This is what I want. Just a moment, please. Okay. So let's go to the home and garden. Good. So yeah, for you to just, I just want everyone to have an idea of when I say the tags change. So this is a dynamic website, by the way. A dynamic website is a website. So it's have been said that in every 2 weeks, right, these tags should change. But because of what we have done here, automatically this would help us keep it as a certain structure to be getting our data consistently without it breaking. Now, when I say tags, this is a tag, which is the script. That's the tag. What would change basically is this ID, right? This ID would change sometimes. Then the developer would have set it that, oh, every 2 weeks it should switch up, and that would happen. And then the next time our bot goes there after 2 weeks, it does not recognize what it sees, and then the code fails. That is the whole idea behind having that initial bot that we created at the top. And then this is all scraping for the products, for the price, for the link, and also for the manufacturer. All this web scraping is a diverse topic, right? And then if you join us here at Analytics for the data engineering course specifically, you are going to enjoy everything because we are going to take you through step by step on how to scrape data and get each and every of this information. And now the last bit here is us creating a data frame. A data frame is, I said we use the list to store data temporarily. So now we now want to keep this data because when you use a list, it is storing in memory. Now we now want to store our data on the disk, which is on your PC itself. So now that is where we come up with our data frame. We create the data frame, and then all the data from the list is now being stored into our data frame. And that is where we are now saving it to this guy, which is Alibaba products.csv. So that is everything here that we should all know. The next thing to do, right, is to now spin up Azure, basically. So we are going to be spinning up Azure. Azure is where we are going to be working. Give me a moment. Yes. Let's use this. Okay, so Azure is where we are going to be working. And in Azure, before you kick off any official project, you have to create something called a resource group. If you want to create a resource group, I'm just going to take us through. I've created everything we need. This is just a quick run through. But if you join us here at Analytics, you are going to get a deep dive into what each and every of these resource and the groups, what they are for, basically. So let me just take it from there. What is a resource group? A resource group is where you can have multiple resources using the same compute. When I say compute, the same amount, basically. That's like all the money you are going to be charged. You are not going to be charged, oh, you are owing $5 here, $10 there, and stuff like that. It is going to be centralized. So a resource group is used to centralize your costs, your cloud costs, basically. And as a data engineer, you have to look for the best possible way to minimize costs, because that is one of the aim of this project, which is to minimize the amount they are going to be spending on these processes. Now, what are we going to be creating? This is a lot for you guys now, but let me just pinpoint what we need. We need this, which is our SQL server, which is where we are going to be storing the data at the end of the day. Now, this is the data factory I mentioned earlier. If you remember, the what's the name of that? The workflow. Yes, if you remember the workflow, I mentioned data factory. This is it over here. And then the last one is our storage. So I'm going to be entering into the storage, and that is where you are going to see some of the changes that we are going to be making being implemented, and then the data factory also having a say in what is happening. So we are going to come to containers. Then from containers, a container is where data is being stored in more of like a data lake, whereby you can throw any sort of data into the system. So what is the container I created for this project is called raw data. So this is it over here. And then you can see we are going to be having two directories inside of this, which is the collected data and then the claimed data. This one is the one where the initial data that we got from Alibaba is going to be sent. Then a trigger, like I said, we are going to be using events. So a trigger is going to happen whereby the data is going to be transformed and then saved into this place. So for the sake of the project, what are we going to do? I'm going to be deleting these guys. So we have deleted this. Come back, and also there should be one here. Good. So we'll also delete this. So now, so it wouldn't be as so it wouldn't look like I lied. That is why I'm deleting it, so that you would see the process of it appearing in these folders that are created. So the claimed and collected, they are all empty now. So now, this is where our function comes in, which is the trigger. Creating our trigger, we are going to be using, we are going to be connecting to Azure through our VS Code. VS Code is an IDE where you can use to, where we used to write code basically as data engineers and also other software developers. Now, this is our function. But before the function, we need to have an ingestion, which is where data is going to get into the collected system, the collected data directory. And then that is where this, this script comes in. This is the ingestion script. This script is used to send the data into the blob storage. So let's test it out. And then we'll come here and then run ingestion.py. So if you want to run a Python script, let me do. So if you want to run a Python script, we say Python, then the name of the script. Then we'll say enter, and then you would see a message briefly. So you can see file Alibaba has been uploaded to Azure. Now, let's confirm if it was successful, and then we'll come back here. We deleted from collected data. Let's not forget that. And then you can see our data has appeared here. I'm going to delete it once again because I will show you the way everything works hand in hand, because this is a pipeline. Everything works hand in hand. So we are going to be deleting the. I just wanted to show us that everything is going to be ingested as time goes on. And now, if we come back here and check our cleaned data, nothing is going to be there. And that's because a trigger was not active. And when I say trigger, that is an event. An event was not listening for any new data that was being sent into the collected data. So this is where the function comes in. What does this do? This listens for any change on our collected data directory in the container. And then if a change is discovered, it is going to transform this data using our transform data function. We have a function that cleans this data. So basically, I wrote a function that does the cleaning. So what are we trying to clean? We are trying to have the minimum price and the maximum price, basically. And then we are going to be dropping the main price column itself. After that, because there's a price column initially. So let's open Alibaba. So you can see it is just name, price, link, and manufacturer. If we come here, you can see the prices. It is a range. It is in range format. So this is $22.98 and then $24.98. So there's a range. So that is why in our transformation, we made sure to split them into a minimum price and a maximum price, basically. And then This is the whole script. And also this script also uploads to our storage, but it uploads to a different directory, which is the cleaned data. So it is going to send it into the cleaned data. So now, once the data has been cleaned, it's going to update it into the cleaned data, and then there would be a tree. So there are two triggers that we set up in this project. We set up a trigger for when the data enters into the collected data, and then once the data enters into the cleaned data, there's also a trigger that triggers a pipeline that does a transfer of data from that blob storage into our database. So I'm going to be showing us everything. It will look like magic, but everything will be very clear to you once you join us out here at Analytics. So I'll be expecting each and every one of you in our sessions. So moving on, let's just get straight into kicking off our trigger that is going to know when the data enters into. So we are going to come here, and then I'm going to start up the trigger. So this is now, what will this do? This is going to be waiting. Let me increase this. Good. So what is this trigger going to be doing? It is going to be listening for changes. So if there are changes, it is going to listen for it and then do the processes that was listed in our function script. So what's the processes listed in the function script? We have transform data. So once the data comes, it is going to transform it, and then this data will now be what we'll be using for will now be what is sent into the what's this? Into the cleaned container. Yes. So let me send this. Okay. So this is what we need to see basically. So let's open this. Yes. No, I don't want this. Okay, so let's rerun our ingestion script that we ran the other time. So I'm going to click on run here. I'm going to leave this page so that you are going to see when the trigger listens for the change. So it is running. So let's wait here. You are going to see changes on this side of things. The reason why this is here is because it is still listening for changes. Has anything changed? Did anything enter into you can see it. So it is telling us something has entered, I have transformed it, and I have saved it. That is what this is telling us. And now you can see this log over here, which is telling us it has cleaned data has been saved to cleaned products.csv. And then after that, we have the data cleaning and transformation message that comes up and says data cleaning and transformation has been completed, basically. So that is all done, right? Then if we now come back here, we check collected data, we are expected to see, yes. So you can see we have something here. If we also come here to clean data, we are expected to see something, and then you can see clean products.csv, and as you can see here, clean products.csv has been saved into our blob automatically. A trigger would have set up again, but I'm going to rerun this whole process for us to see what is happening basically. So now we are done with that side of things because our function, but if you notice, the function did not stop running. That's because it is still listening in case there is something called a streaming pipeline or a batch pipeline. So if we are using a batch, this is a batch process currently because it is not being sent every minute or let's say every second. Because when we stream, it's either every minute or every second, basically. So now this is batch. This is batch processing. And now you can see the trigger was successfully executed. Now we are done with this aspect of things. Let's move to Azure Data Factory. So now this is the data factory that we are working with. Let me, okay, I think we have a little bit of time. So let's create, I'm going to be creating this with us from scratch. So I'm going to come here. So what we need is the copy data. So we just want to copy data from our cleaned data into the into our SQL database. Now, once you create a copy data, it is going to be expecting a source and a sink. What does a source mean? Where it is coming from. What does the sink mean? Where should I throw this data once it has arrived? And then you can see it here. One source, one sink. So for the source, we are going to be selecting our cleaned data, right? Because we cannot select the script one. That's the dirty data. And then, but this is the cleaned one. So we are going to say cleaned data is going to be selected. If we preview the data, we should see a glimpse of what is inside of our cleaned data directory. So let's just give that a moment. So while that is coming up, we'll go to sync, and then where you can see it now. Name, link, manufacturer, price minimum, and price maximum. You know, I showed us this the other time. Price minimum and price maximum. So this is everything in the data set. Now we'll move to sync, where the data is going. Where do we want to put the data? We want to put the data in an SQL database. So we are going to say new. So when you say new, it's going to give you options of where you can sync this data. So we can decide to sync it back into a blob storage, but that would not help analysis for us. So you can see blob storage, Cosmos DB, numerous sources that we can send our data to. But where are we sending it to? We are sending it to SQL. So continue. We are going to be, let's rename it, or let's leave it at this. And then for the link service, we can decide this is an active database, but let me just show you what it looks like to have the whole database set up. Now, you are going to insert all the information of your SQL database that, if you recall, we have created it. So this is our SQL database. You can see it. SQL database. Let me increase the font a little bit. Good. So SQL database, you can see it here clearly. So let's come back here. Let me increase this one too. Okay, so I'm not going to be doing this because I've done it previously. So you are going to put the name of your subscription, then you are going to list your server name, which I showed you previously. This is the SQL server, and then the database that we are going to be, which is our product database. So I'm not going to be doing that because it's already existing. Discard, and then I'm going to cancel this, and then just select this. So this is where we are syncing it into. We are syncing it into a database that will be queryable for us to view this information. And now you can see right behavior should be insert. So we can select insert or offset. So what is offset? Offset is if data that was existing before comes, it will just, if there are changes in specific columns, it will just change those columns and not change the whole entire row. But for the sake of just learning, we are going to leave it as insert. And then this is just, we'll leave all this information there as they are. And then we'll just save it. This is completed. We just needed the source and the sink. So this is completed. And then we are done with this. We can just give it products, or no, clean data to SQL. So clean data to SQL, that's the name, and then this is done. So what's the next thing we are going to do? We are going to validate our pipeline if it is going to work. So we are going to click on validate, and then you have no errors were found. So that means we can run our pipeline successfully. So what are we going to do now? We are going to publish it. So when I click on publish, it's going to publish this pipeline. So publish. So let's just wait. While we wait, there's also a trigger. The trigger I mentioned the other time, this is how we are going to be creating it. So we are going to click on a trigger. We are going to edit it. Then, so it has been successfully published, but it did not run. So we are going to choose a trigger. I've created a trigger previously. So let me just show you how it is being created. So now there are multiple types of trigger. So there's a schedule, there's tumbling window, there's storage event. So according to what we have been trying to build, we already know what we need, which is the storage event. So once it listens, for anything in a specific storage, it should pick it up and then send it to our SQL. So that is what is going to be here. You are going to see me doing the same exact thing, storages, and then the container name, basically. Raw data. So I'm just going to be putting, I'm not going to be putting the whole information here. So I'm going to cancel this. I've created it previously. This is just a sneak peek into the whole cloud world you'll be working with as a data engineer. So I'm going to be choosing a trigger called Amazon Updates. You can see it, claim the data, and then the name of the file. So once it sees this folder, it should trigger. And then the event is not when it's deleted. It should trigger when this event is created. And then it will continue. So the status is going to be, it's going to start, it's going to, it's going to publish as the started trigger. So pipeline is going to run, and then we can, it is looking for if a file called that exists, and then you can see it. So you can see one blob matched. So that means a file like that exists, and then we'll continue, and then we are going to publish all over again. So once we publish now, if it is successful, our pipeline is going to run. When this pipeline runs, it is now going to send the data from okay, before we do that, let me do something right because the data is already here. So let me just, okay, that would be stressful. But regardless, it's still publishing. So let's just wait for it to publish. If it has published, we are going to come here and then you are going to see a run, still publishing. So basically, what this data factory is for? Data factory is used to do diverse things, right? I can decide to create a whole pipeline inside of data factory, right? So the whole from scraping to transformation to storage, everything can be inside of this graph. So basically, it works with a graph. Let's imagine we had another file that we wanted to link up to this copy data. We are just going to drag from here, and then you can see on success, it should do this. And then if we have an event, let's say we want to send an alert that, oh, it failed, it's going to be on fail. It should send us an alert that, oh, this pipeline was unsuccessful. So let's come to monitor. So pipeline has been triggered. So let's enter it. We are going to rerun it basically. So for us to see it succeed, but for us to see it in action, we are going to run it ourselves. So rerun. We want to rerun the entire pipeline. That's from the stage of realizing the data is there and sending into the SQL database. So it is rerunning. So there is data existing in the database currently, but if we load more, we are going to see more data at the bottom. So let's just, it is running currently. So now, basically, the whole setup is just for basic understanding, right? It is not a production ready pipeline. We can't go all out. If I decide to go all out, we are going to spend a lot of time here. That is why I decided to go a little bit introductory. So introducing you to web scraping, introducing you to using Azure functions through VS Code, and then showing you how to use pandas a little bit, not deep insights. I just brushed up all those things so that it's not going to be in depth and too much for you at this point. But if you join us here at Analytics, you are going to get full insights into each and every of these things that create. So now you can see succeeded. If we come back here and then rerun select star from products, we run this query. It's going to give us data, and then I'm going to load more. and then you can see the data continues. So that automatically means our pipeline ran successfully and appended the new data that was sent into the database. So this is the whole scenario of deploying your pipeline to cloud. If you have a pipeline in the cloud, you don't need to see this. The trigger we triggered now, I just did it manually. If you look at the processes, to come back here, if you look at the processes, this already ran. This pipeline already ran on its own. It ran on its own. You can see the run stated original. If I refresh, we are going to see a rerun. Do you understand? So you can see rerun. So it ran on its own, but because we made a rerun, that's why you can see rerun latest. Previously, it was showing original. So original. If the data lands there, automatically this is updated. So if it is an organization that uses this SQL database actively, right, they are just going to let's say there's a dashboard. So Microsoft Azure is linked to the likes of Power BI and the rest. So if I just come here, Power Platform, I can automatically create a dashboard from here. And then if the data analyst has created the dashboard, this dashboard is going to be updated every time the new data comes. So they are going to be having an updated dashboard every time new data is inserted into the database. So there will be shifts in the handles and whatsoever that they use in the pipeline. So that is just everything basically for the basic pipeline that we are building today. So I hope we all enjoyed the introduction, and this is how fun our job is as data engineers. We orchestrate data pipelines. We are the superheroes behind most of these organizations. If you realize on Monday, AWS was down. We are part of, we are not the cause, but we are also part of the strongholds of why these platforms are what they are today. So thank you very much, everyone. I've been Simile Sadiq. Elizabeth is going to take up from there. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sadiq. I learned a lot. I actually got to pick up on a lot. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for sharing the wealth of your knowledge with us. I mean, that was really impressive. So iBillions also says thank you.
Thank you
You
very
so
much.
much, Sadiq.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Yes, I want to know now. I want to hear from everyone, okay? Because I feel like to hear from everyone. How many of us here are new to data engineering? If you're new to data engineering, I want you to put a 1 in the chat. And if you're not, put a 2 in the chat. Okay, Chiwendu says 1. Okay. Well, welcome, Chiwendu. Welcome. Anyone else? iBillion says 1. Godfrey says 1. Fantastic. Okay, so I know the people that I'm going to be speaking to in this session today. So let me just share my screen. Here we have it. All right, so Sadiq already did the wonderful work. I'm just going to skip all of this part, and then we're going to talk about, why data engineering is important. He already started off. He talked about how AWS was down. I bet you a lot of us on this call, we're not even aware. You just knew that, on Monday, I think that was a couple of days ago, social media was not really working. Social media was shaking. A lot of different apps. I know on Snapchat, I was getting some notifications. Oh, if you don't send this message to 12 people, your account is going to get blocked, because people did not understand what was going on. But it was because there was a downtime on, AWS. And that's why Sadiq said that the data engineers are, part of a stronghold. Very essential. It's a very essential career, or a pillar, quote unquote. I know Sadiq is right there smiling right now, but the data engineers are pillars in the data world, right? As a data engineer, you're so far removed from the data analyst and the data scientists. Those are mere mortals to you. But we're going to talk about that in a bit. Now, in order for you to know just how important it is, how important data engineering is in today's tech ecosystem, we also decided to take a look at the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs Report for 2025. Right. And this report is actually linked on my slide. Now, if you have been listening from the beginning, and I'm sure a lot of us will want to have a rewatch of, everything that Sadiq just walked you through, because especially because of the newbies on the call, you might not get it at once, but that's why our sessions are always recorded. All right. So what you want to do for me right now is there's a particular link that my colleagues are dropping in the chat. What I want you to do is click on that link and fill the attendance form. It's very important, because that's the only way we have your details, so that we can send you the recording of this session, as well as the slides that, I used and Sadiq also used. So it's very important. If you'd like to have a replay of this session, as well as the slides, access to the slides, because I have a lot of wonderful things linked on the slides that you can take a look at, just make sure to fill the attendance form. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the World Economic Forum Future of Jobs Report for 2025 is actually linked on my slide, right? But it's also available on the web. This is something that anybody can have access to. If you pick up your phone right now and go on Google and search World Economic Forum Future of Jobs Report 2025, you'll see it. But what you can see right now on my screen is a snapshot of that report. And it says something very, very intriguing. It says in the next 5 years, that is by 2030, 170 million jobs will be created, while 92 million jobs will disappear. Now, this is very important. This is a turning point for tech, or just even the global ecosystem, because we're looking at, 92 million jobs disappearing. Now, when I say 92 million jobs, I'm saying 92 million different types of jobs. All right. So you can imagine the amount of people that are going to lose their jobs if they don't act fast. Now, you see the snapshots here on my screen. You see some boxes are color coded. You see the red boxes, the blue boxes, and then the green boxes. The red boxes signify the jobs that are going to be destroyed in the next 5 years. The blue boxes signify the stable jobs, and then the green boxes signify the green jobs. So whatever you want, whatever it is that you want to do in life, just make sure you are not in the red zone. That's all I'm going to tell you. So try as much as possible to pivot, to move away from the red zone, whether you're moving into the blue zone or the green zone. Now, what are the highlighted in-demand career paths according to the Future of Jobs report, right? You can see here the big data scientists. When we talk about the big data scientists, we're talking about the data engineers. Come on, right? I said it that you're so far removed from, just the regular data analyst and the data scientists. So when we talk about big data scientists, we talk about data warehousing specialists, as well as data engineers. All of these fall under the data engineering umbrella. Now, the Future of Jobs report has highlighted data engineering as one of the fastest growing jobs, and it's also in demand. So you can rest assured that if you're getting into data engineering right now, for at least the next 5 to 8 years, your job is safe, especially in this world of, AI. Oh, AI is coming to take over jobs. AI is doing this and AI is doing that. You can rest assured that your job is safe for the next 5 to 10 years. All right, now let's take a look at some success stories before we dive right into, data engineering proper. I want you to know that, a lot of the people, especially the newbies on the call, you may feel like, I'm not so sure, that data engineering is for me. I was listening to Sadiq, I didn't really understand what it was saying, or even if I understood, it seems technical. I'm not sure I'll be able to do this, maybe because of my background. I'm a nurse, I've been a nurse for the past 10 years, or the past 5 years. I've been a midwife for the past 8 years. I've been a teacher for the past 7 years. So how do I fit into data engineering? Are you sure this is something I'll be able to do? Are you sure this is something I'll be able to excel at? Now, I want to show you some success stories. Right, let's take a look at Gad. Right, Gad was a student in the UK, and he was able to transition from that into becoming a data engineer with the NHS. Now, if you're in the UK, not just in the UK, I'm sure a lot of us on this call here, we understand that the NHS is a big deal. All right. Now, Gad was a mechanical engineer, and he moved to the UK for his master's. Right now, he's a data warehouse and ETL developer with the NHS on sponsorship after completing his program with Analytics. So the first thing Gad did was to learn, right? He joined the Analytics data engineering program, just like a lot of us on this call are, aspiring to. And he completed his program. He got his certificate in July 2024. He kept applying to jobs. Now, that's also something that, you also need to remember. It's not enough to just get the skills. You need to make sure that you're constantly applying to jobs. It's not magic. This is not a get rich quick scheme, right? I'm not going to come here right now and tell you that, in 1 week, you're going to get a job. The truth is it takes persistence. You have to be very consistent. It's not easy. It's not the easiest thing in the world. But what I can tell you is that if you do it right and if you do it well, right, you are guaranteed to get a job. Now, God also tailored his CV. We taught him how to tailor his CV. We revamped his CV for him. We worked on his CV. He joined all the mentorship sessions. He got prepped for multiple interviews. He built a portfolio, which is also linked on this slide. I'm not going to be opening it right now, but once you get the slide, you can just go, through the slides and look at all the things, all the wonderful resources that are linked on the slide. So you can also see the work that some of these people have done. You can have access to watch some testimonials. So you don't have to take my word for it. You don't have to say, Elizabeth said this, Elizabeth said that. You can actually listen to these people, share their experiences with you. Then he also applied to multiple jobs consistently. That was what I said earlier. He tailored every single application. And in January 2025, God landed a data warehouse and ETL developer role with the NHS. Now, he got the job less than 6 months after completing the program. The job also came with full visa sponsorship. That is something that I wanted to highlight. This job came with a full visa sponsorship. So if you're, part of the people on this call right now that are looking to land a job that would offer them sponsorship, you can see that there are people that have done it before you. Definitely, this is something that you can do. Let's take a look at Michael as well. Michael landed his first role in tech as a sales engineer in a software company in the UK after completing his data engineering program. He was absolutely elated on how the mentorship as well as the interview prep helped him land this role. Again, Michael's testimonial is linked on my slide. Last but not the least, we'll look at Idris. We have so many testimonials. I have so many testimonials on the slides, right? If you allow me speak, I can have like an entire session that is 5 hours long, just talking about success stories, but that's not why we're here. So that's why I make sure to link all these different success stories on the slide so that once you fill the attendance form, you get the slides, you'll be able to have access and you can watch it and rewatch it as many times as you want. Now, Idris got a full-time job, with Jaguar Land Rover, in the UK as a data engineer after training with us. He's currently on his second role as a senior analytics engineer. Now, this is very important. I want you to grab this. He landed a full-time job as a data engineer and he went on to upskill. He climbed up the ladder. Right now, he's on his second role as a senior analytics engineer. And all of this was after he completed his data engineering training with us. We also provided him with references, for the two roles, both roles, all right? The first one, as well as the second one, we provide references, as many times as you need it. All you have to do is ask. Like I said, I'm just going to be, glazing through all the different success stories, but we have all of them linked on the slides. Now, what are the skills that you need that would help you land a job in 2026? 2025 is almost over, but it's not over until the 31st of December. Now, how do you get in and start early? You don't have to wait till January. I know that, I mean, it's the normal tradition. By the time it's January, you start to see a lot of New Year resolutions, New Year, new me. But what if I told you that you don't have to wait till January 2026 to make that bold decision? You can actually get in now and land your first role, possibly in January or in February. All right. Now, the skills that will land you jobs in 2026. Look at data engineering. That is why we're here. Everybody that is on this call right now listening to me, you have some sort of interest. You have a vested interest in data engineering. Now, what are the key learning areas? What are the things that you're going to learn? Now, before I do that, I want to go ahead and break down the data engineering role, especially for the people that are new to data engineering on this call. I'm going to break it down for you so that you understand exactly what a data engineer does. Now, a data engineer is responsible for designing, constructing, and maintaining infrastructure. So we talk about infrastructure, we're talking about databases, we're talking about these large scale processing systems that allow for storage and also retrieval of data. Now, let's put that English aside. Just put it aside, right? Now, I want you to think of a construction site. You know how when you're building your house, you have your plumbers that come in to, put in pipelines, running from the borehole and getting the connecting pipelines to the bathroom, to the kitchen, to the different toilets, to the backyard, so that everywhere there's a tap. Once you need water, and you go to that tap and you turn the tap on or you turn the shower on, you have running water. Now, that is exactly the role of a data engineer in the data space. So I like to call them the plumbers of the data world. Now, Sadiq said something that was very interesting earlier. He said, the data engineers are the reason. They're very proud, by the way. Data engineers are proud people. They're the reason why, data is accessible, right, to the data analysts and the data scientists. The job of those guys is to analyze and interpret data, right? Now, in order for you to be able to analyze something, you need to have access to it. How do you have access to it? You need a data engineer to provide that access. Now, that is the job of the data engineer in the data world. Think of them as the plumbers. They're the ones that make sure that data is available for the data analysts as well as the data scientists to use whenever they need to analyze and interpret data. All right. Now we're going to start off strongly with introduction to data engineering. Again, this is something you can get into as a beginner. All right. As an absolute beginner, you can absolutely get into data engineering as long as you have the zeal and you know that this is not the easiest course to get into. But if you're interested in it, because the data engineers earn a lot of money, all right? A lot of money. Now, if you're interested and you know that this is something that I am, ready to get into, then we start off with introduction to data engineering, baby steps. We introduce you to it first. Now, we don't assume that you're coming in with some sort of experience. No, we're actually going to introduce you to it. So think of it as you coming to a kindergarten class, right? A tech kindergarten class. So we take it from the basics. We introduce you to data engineering, the different concepts, what it means. And then we go into SQL, which is what we call structured query language, the language of the database. SQL is how you're able to communicate with your database. SQL is how you're able to query your database to get the insights that you need from your database. So you want to speak to your data, all right? You're trying to, build your pipelines, do something wonderful like Sadiq did. That can look like magic, but you're trying to do that. You need to be able to communicate with this data in the first place. You need to be able to understand the data, and that is where SQL comes in. So you're going to be learning the language of data, and then we move into Python programming. Sadiq said it, that's your best friend. As a data engineering, Python is your best friend. Coding. So you're going to be learning Python engineering and Python programming the way a software engineer would learn Python programming. So you learn Python programming and we go into Linux, right? And then building custom ETL pipelines. ETL, for people that did not hear when he mentioned it earlier, it means extract, transform, and load. So you're going to learn how to build these custom pipelines. Now, going back to our plumber analogy, when I was explaining the role of a data engineer, I said they're the plumbers of the data world, the plumbers that come into the house, that connect pipelines from the boreholes. Now, when we talk about ETL, let's go back to that analogy again. Now, you know that these plumbers, they connect the pipelines, from the borehole, right? So from the borehole or from the water source, they connect the pipelines and then connect it to maybe a storage tank. Now, even before the water gets to the storage tank, there is a filtration system because, of course, maybe the water that's coming from the water source is not the cleanest, right? So the water is being extracted from that water source, from that borehole, is being transformed or filtered, and then it is loaded into a storage tank. Now, from that storage tank, they now connect different pipelines to different parts of the house, right? Or different parts of the building so that when you need water, you go to a tap, the nearest, water outlet, a tap, a shower, whatever it is, you turn it on and you have clean water running. Now, that's exactly what you learn how to do as a data engineer, but with data. Now, it's not water, it's data. So you're going to learn how you can build pipelines that would extract dirty data from databases. Maybe you're carrying out web scraping, you extract data, messy data, you clean and you transform this data, right? And then you load it into the destination or the storage tank that you want to put it in. You're going to learn how to do that. And then you learn the data automation tools like Apache Airflow, Apache Spark. Again, you're learning all of these from scratch. All right, we're literally going to be holding your hand every step of the way, throughout the duration of this program. Then we go into cloud engineering, where you're going to be learning, cloud engineering using GCP, Google Cloud Platform, Azure, as well as Amazon Web Services, AWS. And then we go into version control, GitHub. And then because the world is constantly evolving. Again, earlier when I was speaking, I mentioned AI. A lot of people are scared that AI is coming to take over jobs. Or how am I going to just make sure that AI doesn't take over my job? How do I ensure job security and stability? We also decided to make sure that as times are evolving, you are evolving with the times. You're not left behind, right? So we also infused Gen AI, generative AI, into your curriculum. So you're actually going to be learning Chat GPT and GitHub Copilot. How do you use AI? How do you leverage AI in your role as a data engineer to make your work easier, to make your work faster? I tell people we're no longer in the era of working hard. Right now, you need to work smart to make a lot of money. The people that are earning a lot of money today, look at them, they don't do too much. All right. You just need to know how to work smart, how you can get AI to do basically half of your work, right? And you're doing half, you're doing 50%, AI is doing 50%, like an intern for you. And then when it's time to get paid, you are the only one getting the paycheck. So you're going to learn how to use GitHub and Chat GPT as a data engineer. Now, our training options or our training approach is actually a blended approach, right? You have your Saturday live classes and then you have self-paced learning. Now, we realize that especially for you, our audience, the people that we serve, a lot of us here have been out of the classroom for a long time, right? Some of us are studying for our master's, some are chasing our PhD, some of us have families, we have kids that we cater to. You have your 9 to 5, right? You have your job that pays the bills, that puts food on the table right now. And we do not want to tamper with that at all. So what we did was we made the training very, very flexible. Now you have a live class 2 Saturdays out of 4 Saturdays in a month. So you don't have a live class every single week because that's going to be overwhelming. When you have to juggle life and juggle family with your training, it's going to be overwhelming. So you have 2 live classes in a month, 4 Saturdays in a month, 2 live classes. All right. And then the live classes have two different timings. So we have the morning as well as the evening class. So the morning class is 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. West African time, and the evening class is 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. West African time. Now you're able to choose the most convenient class for you depending on your schedule. So if you know that, oh, I'm usually free on Saturday mornings, but I work in the evening, you can choose the morning class. Or if you say, you know what, I have to work in the morning, but I'll be free in the evening, you can go for the evening class. So you are able to choose the most convenient class for you. And it's also just to help with your time zones as well, because we also have people joining us from different parts of the world. So you're just able to pick the best class that works with your time zone. Now, aside the Saturday live classes, you also have what we call self-paced learning. Watch me do it videos. You get pre-recorded videos of your facilitator, people like Sadiq. You get them, working on projects. Now they've recorded a video of themselves working on projects, walking you through all of these different concepts. Just imagine the short course Sadiq had with you earlier, just going on Alibaba, scraping it, and then, doing all of that wonderful stuff. Now imagine that you had a video like that, just watch over and over again and try to replicate what he's doing. Now you have videos like that released to you every single week that you can watch at your own time. So you don't have to be on seat at a particular time to be able to study. No, you can watch it at your own time. Maybe you have to work and then when you're back, you'll be free, to be able to watch it. That's fine. It's just for you to watch it and then try to replicate all of these things that you're seeing in these recordings. Now, if you have questions, there are 3 different avenues that you can share your questions to get answers. The first one is that you'll actually be added to what we call a pod. Now, a pod would be, just a group with your peers, like-minded individuals such as yourself, people that are trying to learn. So it's more like a study group, right? So you could be studying on your own and you have some difficulties, you don't understand some things. You can ask your peers, you can go to your pod and ask a question, and someone who understands it better can explain it to you. So we established the pods just so you have that handholding again with your peers. You're able to learn together, so you don't feel alone, you don't feel isolated in your learning. Now, that's the first avenue to ask your question. The second avenue is you also be added to a closed WhatsApp group chat with your facilitator, someone like Sadiq, for example. So if you're watching your videos or you're studying on your own or you're trying to work on a project, because you actually get at least 8 projects that you get to work on. So every single thing you're learning here, building your custom ETL pipelines, Apache Spark, how to use Apache Airflow to automate your data pipeline, you're actually learning them using projects. So when you get assigned to projects and you hit a roadblock, you're trying to understand certain things, you have some questions, you can go on the WhatsApp group chat and tag your facilitator at Sadiq. Please, I don't understand this. Can you explain it? And you get an explanation. That is the second avenue you have to ask your questions. Now, the third one is what we call drop-in sessions. Drop-in sessions happen 2 times every single week. So yes, you have 2 live classes in a month, but you have 2 drop-in sessions in a week. So you have one drop-in session on Wednesdays, 9 p.m. West African time, you have a drop-in session. And this drop-in session is more like a troubleshooting class, right? It's a mini class, but it's for questions. So you're able to join that and say, hi, Sadiq, please, I was screen. This is what I was trying to do. I was trying to scrape this data, but it wasn't working. I don't know what I was doing wrong. Can I share my screen and show you the problem that I'm facing, right? And then you get that personalized guidance that you need. So your facilitator says, okay, go ahead, share your screen. Let me see. Oh, you were supposed to click on this. You were supposed to do that. And you're supposed to do this. That helps you to resolve your blockers. So if you have any questions, you can join a drop-in session, ask your questions, right? And you get responses to the questions. Now, not to worry. Every single thing that requires you to join a meeting here at Analytics is always recorded. So because we're aware that sometimes your job might not necessarily be your routine, or your job schedule might not necessarily be the most stable. Maybe sometimes you have a shift on Saturday, sometimes you're free on Saturdays, and you're trying to balance it. Not to worry. Every single live class, every single drop-in session is always recorded. So if you miss a class, maybe due to an emergency at work or any reason at all, you have access to the replay or the record that session, lifetime access. So you can choose to watch it 100 times. You can wake up one day in 2036 and say, I took a program with Analytics in 2025, and then you still have access to the video as long as you can log into your classroom. So you have lifetime access to it, and you're able to watch it as many times as you need to watch it in order for you to understand. Now, the learning timeline for this program is 8 months. You have 6 months learning in class, and then you have 2 months of internship. All right. So after learning with us for 6 months, immersive learning, where you get to work on different projects, you get to build a portfolio, because that is very, very important. After building your portfolio with us, we also partnered with a company in the UK where we move you into for you to intern with them, and it's going to be remote. So your location right now does not matter. Wherever it is you're in the world, you are able to participate and also take advantage of this as well, at no extra cost. All right, now let's move on. I always tell people, your technical skills are wonderful, all right? Your technical skills are important. Your technical skills are essential, but your technical skills is not enough to land you a job. Here at Analytics, we have something we call the job offer formula, which is what you can see on my screen right now. It's very simple. It's simple addition. Technical skills plus employability skills, right? Because anybody can learn, anybody that puts their mind to it and dedicates time to it can learn how to build custom ETL pipelines. Anybody that puts their mind to it and dedicates time to it can learn how to use Apache SPAC or Apache Flow, right? So how do you stand out in the job market? How do you make sure that, oh yes, I can use, Apache Spark, and then person B can also use Apache Spark. But if the both of us apply to the same job, I will be chosen over this person, or I would be preferred, or my chances will be higher. My chances of getting hired for this job will be higher than person B. How do you ensure that? That is where your employability skills come in. Now, when we talk about employability skills, we're talking about these 8 services that we offer here at Analytics. The first one is reviewing and revamping your CV for you. Now, not to worry, okay? Especially for the people that are newbies to data engineering, you might be wondering, how do I position myself? How am I able to land these jobs because I don't have any prior experience? Again, that's where your projects come in. That's why here at Analytics, we always prioritize project-based learning, right? So you are actually practicing in class. You're not just coming to class to read the textbook to come and say, oh, what is Apache Spark? Oh, what is ETL? What does it mean? No, you're actually doing it. You're getting your hands dirty. You're getting used to it. You're building projects. You're working on projects and you're building your portfolio as you go. All right. Now that portfolio stands as your experience. That is what is going to show recruiters that, yes, I know what I'm talking about. If I tell you that I have done this, is because I have done it. And here is the proof to show you that I have actually done it. All right. So we are actually going to teach you how you can build your portfolio. But then we're going to take a look at your previous experience. Trust me, it might not seem like it now, even if you're a nurse or a teacher. We're going to take a look at your previous experience and highlight the things or the tasks that you have performed that is very similar to what a data engineer would do, and would refine your CV for you based off of that. Now, I don't want you to worry about that too much. That is something that we do. So just leave that to us. All right. So we revamp your CV for you to make sure that it is ATS friendly so that when you apply for jobs, your CV is actually able to scale past the applicant tracking system. Because a lot of us don't know that when we apply for jobs, the second you click submit, right? You submit your application, there is something that looks like a little rat in the background that just flings out your application. It flings it out the window. So your application never gets to the desk of, a recruiter that is going to take a look at it for you. Something is flinging it out. As you're applying, something is flinging out. You just realize that you're not getting callbacks. You're not getting communications from these organizations. You're not even getting any email from them. It's because nobody even saw your application in the first place. And that's because of the ATS. So we are going to make sure that your CV is ATS friendly so that it can scale past that applicant tracking system and get to the actual desk of the recruiter. Next is the LinkedIn optimization where we teach you in public. All right. How you can strategically plan yourself for jobs on LinkedIn as much as they're applying to jobs, as they're applying, others are also seeing you well. So I can Legemo, I'm not quite sure. So you might want to retype it again so I understand. But anyone else that has a question for me, just put it in the chat. So once I'm done, I will be going through the chat box and I'll answer your questions. All right. And next, we have navigating the job market, where we have seasoned professionals come back to the classroom and speak to you, share insights with you, share tips on how you can also navigate the job market, and land the job of your dreams. Then we have interview preparatory sessions where, we prep you for interviews. Now, it doesn't matter how many interviews you get. Even if you get 100 interviews, we'll prep you 100 times. Tell anybody that Elizabeth said that. We're available to always prep you for your interviews. You have a one-on-one interview simulation with a professional. So every time you get an interview, you can book a one-on-one session with us here at Analytics, and we'll prepare you for that interview. We'll tell you the likely questions that could come up and how you could answer them so that when you go into the main interview, you are prepared. All right. Next is the job reference letter. And this is, of course, when you land a job, these recruiters want to know that you are not a con artist. All right. So they ask you to drop the name of maybe your previous employers that can, vouch for you and provide a recommendation or a reference letter for you. And you can put down our name. We are 100% available to do that on your behalf. Next is on the job support. So this is not so popular, but if you land a job, and maybe for the first 1 month, you don't know how to go about certain tasks, you're a bit confused, you've got some tasks that you don't know how to, execute on the job. Now you can come back here at Analytics, book a one-on-one session with a professional here at Analytics, and that person will provide guidance. Even if it's not one person, it could be a team of professionals, depending on, how hectic that task is. And I provide guidance on how you can go about that task and how you can execute it on the job, right? And then we have the weekly mentorship sessions, like the name implies. This is, mentorship that happens every single week just to get you in the right headspace. And finally, optimization sessions for people who are interested in, freelancing. So if you're interested in getting, freelancing gigs, contract gigs, where you're just making extra money here and there, £100 here, £200 here, £150 here, you are also taught how you can leverage or, optimize your Upwork profile in order to be able to land, these jobs. Now, aside all of these wonderful things, you also get access to the 10 Analytics job tracker. Now, what we do is we pay for a lot of exclusive jobs every single month. On a month-on-month basis, we are paying for jobs. so that we can get access to exclusive jobs that you'll not necessarily find on LinkedIn, on Indeed, on Glassdoor. We pay for these jobs, and once we get them, we send them to you every single week. So every single classroom has a job tracker just like this, where you see jobs that are posted and you have the link to the job. So you're able to see if the job offers sponsorship, if it's a remote or a hybrid role, where is the job, where's the company located, where's the organization located, is it a UK company or a US company, or in Nigeria or in South Africa or in Canada, the name of the company as well as the job title, and then the link. So once you see something that you're interested in, you just click on the link and then you go ahead, to apply. Now, all of these different things, it's a total package. All right. You're not paying anything extra for any of these different things. All you have to do is register for the training. All right. So let's move on. Okay. Give me a minute. Okay, sorry about that. Now, 10 Analytics is also accredited by the American Council of Training and Development. So yes, I know some people may be wondering, will I get a certificate after this training? And the answer is yes. You get a certification of completion is globally recognized, all right? Because we are accredited. So now what are the next steps? How do you land this job? What do you need to do right now to be able to thrive in 2026? Join our next cohort that is starting on the 8th of November 2025, which is next month. All right. So the pricing of the program is 1,000 US dollars. However, we do have a 25% discount running. So if you're part of the first 20 people to make payments, instead of paying 1,000 US dollars, you get to pay 750 US dollars instead. And you can also pay in installments. So you're able to split your payments for as many as 5 months. So my colleagues are going to be dropping the link for you to secure your spots. But let me just show you what that looks like right now. All right. So here you have the link. I see someone just enrolled for cybersecurity. So here you have the link. And once you click on that link, you'll be able to see the list of all the programs that we offer here at Analytics, right? And what you want to do at this point is you just want to identify your program of interest. That is data engineering. So here we have data engineering. So I just want to confirm, okay, I can see, still sharing my screen. So right here, we have data engineering, and you just want to click on buy now for data engineering. Then it opens up the course description. You have it right here. You can see that it is beginner friendly. See minimum project at least 8. You get at least 8 projects that you time to just read through all of this and just understand exactly what you're getting into. But right here you have enroll now. So once you click on enroll now, you'll be prompted to create a free account. Now it's going to take you less than 1 minute. We just need your full name, your email address, and your phone number. So I wasn't prompted to create an account because I already have an account. So it just took me straight, but you would have to create an account. And once you create an account, you'll be able to confirm your enrollments. Now you can see that the 25% discount is already applied. Okay. Then you're able to choose when you'd like to start. Now, here's the fun part. Yes, we have a new class starting on the 8th of November, but if you need more time to prepare, if November is going to be a busy month for you, you can actually register ahead to start with the December class instead. In that case, you just want to select when you would like to start right here, okay? So you select December, for example, and then what that just means is that you're going to be starting your program in December. Now we have a currency selector here that allows you to see the pricing of the program in different currencies. So I set it to Naira initially, but if you are in the US, you can set it to USD. If you are in Canada, you can put it to Canadian dollars. If you are in London or in the UK, you can set it to pounds. So you're able to pay in your local currency. Now, not to worry, if your currency is not here, once you click on this link, wherever it is you are, so even if you're joining us from Korea, all right, you're going to see your local currency once you get to this point. Now, remember, I said you're able to split your payments for as many as 5 times. So we have the flexible payment options here, and you're able to select which one is more convenient for you. So do you want to make a one-time payment, which is you want to pay in full, or would you like to pay 2 times? So you want to split your payment into 2 monthly installments, or would you like to pay 3 times? You want to split your payments into 3 monthly installments? Would you like to go for 4 monthly installments or 5 monthly installments? Now it's very simple. Whatever plan it is that you pick, you are able to prorate your payments. Okay, you're able to pay in installments. So, for example, if I pick the 5 monthly installments, what it just means is that, I'm hearing that, look, the original price of the program is 1,000 US dollars or 820 pounds for my people in the UK. And right now, there's a 25% discount. So instead of 820 pounds, I actually get to save 205 pounds. I can keep 205 pounds. I mean, it's the festive season. We all need some extra money here and there. So if anybody tells me that there's an opportunity to save a whooping 205 pounds, I am going to jump on it. Okay, so now you're able to save 205 pounds. And instead of paying 820 pounds, you are paying 615 pounds. And that's not all. You're also able to split your payment. So what it just means is that, for example, if you select a 5 monthly installment, you're simply saying, I heard about your discounts, 615 pounds, and I'm very interested. I want to start, my tech journey. I want to get into data engineering. However, I don't have 615 pounds right now. I only have 123 pounds. Can I start my training? And the answer to that question is yes. So you can get in with 123 pounds right now, secure your spot, and you're good to start your classes next month if you want, or in December. What this just means is you're committing to paying 123 pounds monthly for the next 5 months. That's what it means. And then you just want to select apply discount. So we're just going to give this some time. It's going to load up and apply the discount. And then you're able to just confirm your information. Now, right here, you have a breakdown of how you're going to be making payments. Again, remember I said initially that it is installmental. Okay, so what it means is that, for example, today is the 22nd of October. You're saying, I'm going to pay 123 pounds today, 22nd of October. And then my next payment would be due 22nd of November. And the one after that will be due 22nd of December, 22nd of January, and so on and so forth. All right. However, if maybe due to, your finances, right? The way your finances are structured. Maybe you get paid at the end of the month. You get paid on the last day of the month. And you're like, I want to make my payments now, but if my next payment is going to be due by 2nd of November, I won't be able to meet up because I only get paid by the end of the month. Now you're able to edit your dates for your next payment right here. So you see this part where it says edit date. I'm just going to click on it. And then you are able to choose when you would like to pay next. So if 22nd of November is not convenient for me, I can decide to pay on the 30th of November. All right. All you have to do is just edit it. So I'm saying, please, I can't be paying on the 22nd. I would like to pay on the last day of every month. And then once you save it, you see that it has highlighted that change for you here. So now your next payment is due on the 30th of November. The next one is due on the 30th of December, and so on and so forth. So once you're comfortable with all of that, you just want to go ahead to confirm your information, tick these 2 boxes and click on pay now, and you're able to pay with your card. All right. Easy peasy. That's all you need to do. And you're ready to get your tech journey started. Now, remember, there's so many wonderful resources linked on this slide that I don't want you to miss. So make sure to fill the attendance form so that you can have access. You can see I'm going to stop here, but you can see that we still have so much that we have not even gone through. Now I'm going to leave this to you so that when you get the slide, you can actually take your time and go through all these different testimonials that you need to see, listen to people speak about their experiences here with us. All right, so I'm going to be looking in the chat now to see if I have any questions from anybody. Okay, so Legemo says I'm starting in November. So I don't know if that means you already secured your spot. Okay, it says, please, I'm a doctor transitioning into tech. I already registered for data science. I do not have a basic knowledge in coding. Is data engineering complex? Will I make a good data engineer? And will I be able to work remotely without having to relocate? So I'm going to answer the last part of your question first. Yes, you'll be able to work remotely without having, to relocate. Whatever it is that you want to do, you're just going to tailor your application to fit what you want. So if you want to land a remote job, you apply to remote jobs. All right. Now, you already registered for data science. you don't have basic knowledge in coding, which is fine. All right, that is fantastic. Now you're asking me, is data engineering something that is too complex for you? This will depend on your background, and it's not something that I'll be able to delve into too much here. But you can go ahead to schedule a call with one of our professionals, have a one-on-one session with maybe myself or my colleagues, and then we are going to fully break this down and see if you should stick with data science or move into data engineering. But not to worry, if you're going to make that transition, you're not going to make any extra payments. You're just going to switch from data science to data engineering. All right. So just indicates that you'd like to speak to a professional, and we're going to get you into a session. Okay. So for the other people, I see my colleague Oluwaseun already dropping the link to the attendance form. For the other Oluwaseun Adejumo, you have the link to the attendance form right there, as well as the link to securing your spot. So just make sure that you secure your spot. Now, this discount is not available for everybody, and that's the truth. Only available to the first 20 people to register. So it is grab your copy now, right? What it means is that if you are the 21st person, you are not going to meet this discount. So we want to make sure that you beat, we have a lot of people on the call right now. So we want to just make sure that you are part of the next 20 people to register, and then you're going to have, full access to the program. You are also going to have access to these slides as well as the recording of this session to always go over when you would like. All right. So, Legemo, I would like for you to just indicate that you'd like to speak to a professional. All right. And then you can have a one-on-one session with myself or any other person on my team. So we can fully flesh out if data science is great or data engineering. All right. Fantastic. We'll look forward to seeing you there. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone, for sticking with me right till the end of the session. All right, I hope you had a wonderful, you picked up new things. From Sadiq's explanation as well as mine. Now, remember to secure your spot and also fill the attendance form so you can have access to the replay. You can watch this session over and over and over again, and then you can also secure your spot. Thank you so much for joining, and please enjoy the rest of your day. I look forward to seeing you in class in November. Thank you, and bye for now.